Hi friends, this is Jamie. Today I'm going to do a video on 10 ways to get out of a coloring slump. This is something I've been thinking about lately and I thought I would make a video on it. I did post on my community tab, my Instagram, and my Facebook page just a general question on how do you get out of a coloring slump. And I have had quite a few people respond to that question. So after I go through the 10 ways to get out of a coloring slump that are my ideas, I'm going to kind of talk to you and tell you the ideas that I got from my YouTube friends, my followers on Facebook, members on my Facebook, my followers on Instagram, basically everyone that commented. We'll kind of go over what they said, and I'll talk to you about what they said, and a lot of them have really good ideas, and I think it could maybe help some of us that are out there that are suffering with coloring slumps or coloring downtime or loss of coloring mojo. So first off, I'm coloring this Molly Harrison page. This is out of one of her Halloween books. I can't remember which book it is, but I will put the book in the description box below, and I'll put the Amazon link, and that will be an affiliate link if you guys are interested in this coloring book. And the pencils that I'm coloring with are the Goldfaber budget-friendly Faber Castell pencils, and I will put the affiliate link for these as well in the description box below. Anyway, let's move on and let's get started. I recorded about 42 minutes of coloring time, hoping that it will get through all of these things, but we'll see how it goes. So we'll get started with the first one. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is just taking a break. So, a lot of times we lose our coloring mojo or we get into a coloring slump because we're overwhelmed in either our coloring or crafting or just in our life. And it is okay to step back and take a break from coloring. This is just a hobby. It is supposed to be relaxing and fun. When it starts to become overbearing and overwhelming, sometimes taking a break is a good thing. Now, this could be a bittersweet thing. Some people do great at taking a break and then coming back and feeling fully rejuvenated and just fine. Others, like myself, if I take a break for too long, then I may never come back. So I like to give myself a certain amount of time. Usually it's no longer than a week. If after a week I haven't come back to coloring, then I start to think, okay, maybe I need to just jump in. Maybe there's something bigger than just taking a break. Maybe I have overcomplicated these things, or maybe I'm putting too much pressure on myself, those kind of things. So if you're like me, taking a break is good, but if you take a break for too long, it may make it harder to come back. And then there's other people that taking a break for 2 years and then coming back is easy and it's no big deal. So it's really up to you as a person if taking a break is the option that you need to do at that time in your life. So yeah, that's number one. Okay, number two, organize. So sometimes when you're not knowing what to color and you're feeling the lack of coloring mojo, is what I'll call it. Sometimes all it takes is reorganizing, and this can mean reorganizing your desk, reorganizing your supplies, could be reorganizing your books. A lot of times when you reorganize your books or supplies, you'll find things that you didn't realize you had in your stash, and it gives a new spark, a new life to that item, which, like for example, you may look through your books by reorganizing your books. Maybe you haven't reorganized your books forever, and you reorganize them in categories like, say, animals, fairies, whatever. Or maybe you like to do it in alphabetical order, or maybe you like to do it by artist or publisher. By doing that and flipping through things, you can take a closer look at those things and decide. You can also at that time decide if that's what you're into, because coloring styles and sorry, I can't even talk, guys. Coloring styles and the way you are changed through time, and maybe something that you liked back in 2020 you do not like anymore. It gives you a headache. You don't want to color that anymore. And it's like almost destashing, clearing away those things that are taking up room in your stash. And by doing that, that also gives you clarity in your head. And that can help bring back your coloring mojo. And with supplies, you could go through supplies. Maybe the past month, all you've used is your Prismacolor pencils. But you go through your supplies and you find your watercolors, or you find your gelatos, or your crayons, or whatever. Maybe set those Prismas aside and think about exploring different options. And by organizing, those things will come into play. Brings me to my next topic is experiment with unfamiliar mediums. So after you've done your organizing and stuff, a lot of times we purchase mediums or supplies, and they tend to just go into storage, and we don't use them. Or maybe we used them, but we used them forever ago. By experimenting with different supplies on different paper types and things like that, it can strike a creative juice inside your body that will help you beat the coloring slump, because you'll be more prone to want to do more experimenting. And a suggestion with the whole experimenting process is I suggest that everybody have what I call an experimental coloring book. Usually I would suggest one that has a decent paper quality, so you can do wet and dry medias, and you can use budget and expensive products in. And it doesn't matter the outcome when you color in that book. The whole purpose of that book is to experiment and to try different things that maybe you otherwise would not have pulled on a normal coloring project. Next point I want to bring up, or next one in my 10, is WIPs. So that stands for work in progress. And I put 2 ways, because there's 2 ways I want to hit this. When you're in coloring mojo loss, or lack of just coloring slump in general, sometimes pulling a WIP, meaning a page that you had started a long time ago, or maybe a while ago, or maybe a day ago, can bring back that coloring mojo. So that's one way you could maybe retrieve your coloring mojo. Another way is by creating WIPs. And I know there's some of you out there that are probably like, oh my gosh, creating WIPs. Um, Sometimes when you get to the point where you just don't know what to color and the world is chaotic and life is a mess, the last thing you need on your plate or your mind is you have to complete a page. So, what I would suggest is pick a page. Maybe you're going organizing and you're looking through those books and you find a page and there is a page with this gorgeous flower on it. You don't notice anything else on that page except for that flower. Then color that flower. It is okay to color just that flower and nothing else, and then move on to another project. By doing that, it helps you focus and helps you return to a center of relaxation and a different state of mind. And then it helps you prepare for your next coloring project without even realizing it. And that's what's so great about the Johanna Basford books, like Rooms of Wonder, and I think the other one's called Worlds, something Worlds. Sorry, I can't think of the title. A lot of those books have little tiny elements on a page, so you can color just that little tiny element, that bike, that flower, that bottle. But even if you don't have those books, you can still use whatever books you have and just color elements on the page that are popping out to you at the time. It is okay to create whips. And this is what I've been telling myself, to embrace the whip. It is fine. It's still coloring. It is still putting you in a creative headspace. So that is why I say whips two ways. You can work on a whip, or you can create a whip which helps you pull your creative juices to the surface, is what I would like to call it. All right, the next one I want to talk about is swatch supplies, or swatching your supplies. This might sound a little boring for some, and some people love it. When swatching your art supplies, it can definitely help you come back to that coloring state, especially if you're unfamiliar with certain mediums in your collection, or you're trying to create color palettes or color combos. Say you bought the 520, what is it? The new 520 brute furners or colors or whatever, one of those big sets of pencils. And they're just sitting there, and maybe you're having that loss of coloring mojo inside. By pulling out a piece of paper and just scribbling them down and creating a color swatch, get you familiar with the product and get you familiar with that pencil, what kind of paper you'd like to color on, what colors you think would be good for water and skin. And even if you're a straight colorist, it still will help you know what colors you even like. A lot of times when swatching, what's on the barrel is not what's actually coming out, especially with markers. And by swatching them out, and I'm not a swatcher, so this is coming from a person that doesn't swatch. By swatching things out, you can find that you like this, you like that. And it is okay to like what you like and be able to use those in future coloring projects. And you can write them out down in journals and color swatch sheets, charts, however you like to do it. Or maybe you don't like to do that at all. Maybe you just want to pull those, and by swatching it, You decided, hey, I like these 7 colors. I think I'm going to do a picture with this. But you never would have known without swatching them out first. It is just another way of stimulating that creative juice inside the mind. So swatching colors, mediums, products will definitely do that sometimes to help pull you out of the slump. Okay, so it brings us to our next little suggestion here. It's color palette coloring. A lot of times after you swatch, you find color palettes that you really enjoy. Now, say you're not a swatcher, but you're stuck still. Try using a color palette for your next project. That way, the colors have already been chosen for you instead of you needing to decide out of maybe your 400 pencils or your 500 markers or even your 30 set of pencils, what colors to use. You can, I know they have the Sarah Renee Clark cards out there. I do not own these, but I know several people in the coloring community do. Those are color palette cards. There is a virtual one that you can like download to your phone that Sarah Renee Clark has. It's like a catalog. You could do that if you're interested. Now, for someone like me, I do not have those. I do have some books that have color palettes in there, but a lot of times I find myself just going on Pinterest or Google searching palettes. And when I go to Pinterest or Google, I say I'm just thinking about candy, okay? And I'll just search candy color palette, and it will pull up several different color palettes that have to do with candy. And I'll look through, and whatever catches my eye first, that's the one I go with. Now there are, I know there is an app, I think it's called Colors. I can't remember the app, but there are apps that have color palette generators. So if it's too hard to even think of, like how I thought of candy, and you want it totally random, you can generate color palettes as well. So that's an idea for you. Now, speaking of color palettes, you can also do a one color palette, which in other words would be a monochromatic color palette. Say you don't know what you want to do, but you're looking through your Prismacolor pencils and you see you have one pencil that has never been used. Say it's blue violet or something. Maybe you want to just pull that pencil. You can do a page, an entire page, using hues of blue violet. And honestly, I've seen many of these done, and they're incredible. I really enjoy monochromatic pictures. I think they're gorgeous. And you can color any picture with a monochromatic color palette. So even if you don't have very much supplies, you can achieve those kind of things. Now you can achieve things with one pencil. It's a little tricky when you don't have different shades, but by pressures, light to hard pressure, you can create different effects on a page as well. That's something you can do with the whole experiment with mediums. All right, the next one I have here is back to basics. So that would be coloring in your easy pages, straight coloring, coloring in kids' coloring books, coloring in maybe color by number coloring books, mandalas, patterns, whatever you feel is your easy, relaxing, stress-free coloring. Um, the reason why I threw in kids' coloring books is because sometimes pulling out a kids' coloring book, maybe from the dollar store or your local supermarket, and using crayons brings you back to coloring as a child in your mind, and it helps take away the stress of trying to color something perfect. And same goes with easy coloring or straight coloring. Instead of adding shading and glitz and glam and trying to embellish your page and all those different things, just color it straight. Almost like if there's a rainbow, just color it the rainbow colors, and that's all. It's takes the stress out of choosing colors, and it's like mindless coloring. Now, you can also take one color and go through your entire book and color, say it's yellow, color everything that you think in your entire book should be yellow. And that's all. But you use that to color and create and add color to a page. Color by number helps so that you don't have to think about colors to pull. I know a lot of people enjoy color by number. If color by number is not your thing, maybe something that's repetitious like a pattern would work really well for you. Maybe you don't like patterns. Maybe the kids' coloring book is for you. I mean, there's several different ways to simplify going to the back to basics of coloring, because a lot of times we get so overwhelmed with life, and it can happen in coloring, and we tend to over compare our work, and we tend to put too much on our plate, and we've got to get this done, and this better be done by this time, or else I won't have it for my completed pages, and da 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 da. It becomes a pile up of stuff. By simplifying and going back to basics, it creates a clear plate, so to speak, in your mind for coloring. And by, say, doing this, I guess you can call it back to basics page, or you can call it a primer page. It can help you get ready for your next project. It's just like when you're painting a wall, you would put primer down before you would put your actual paint. It helps you ground your mind and get you set for the next creative thing that's coming your way. Now, some people, that's just like the way they like to color. In general, they don't want over complex things. They have too much complex stuff in their life. All they want to do is keep it simple and stay in basic mode, and that is perfectly fine. Coloring is whatever works for you. You can go to the extreme and do every tiny detail and just elaborate every single thing you possibly want, because maybe that's what you like. Or you can stick to kids' coloring books and just color what you want with crayons, and it's fun, and that's what you enjoy. Sorry about that, guys. My son came in the room. Needed me to sew his fox's mouth back on his stuffed animal. The next prompt, I'm reading the thing. The next thing I want to talk about is follow coloring tutorials or prompts. This is something that can help you, especially if you're stuck trying to make a page a certain way. There are many coloring tutorials and color alongs on YouTube by a lot of different colorists out there that you can color along with them. And it's almost, some are like color in chats where it feels like you're coloring with a friend because they're talking throughout the process. And some of them are like 30-minute videos. Others can be up to 3-hour videos. Depends what you're in the mood for. There's also the kind of coloring tutorials that are just set to music and they just show you the different colors as they're using them on the page. A lot of times they use pencils like Prismacolor pencils and Polychromos pencils because they're very universal, but you can use any color, any brand of pencils. Just try to get the color to match as close as you can. And the techniques you can still try to use with other colored pencils. There are also many people that have Patreons that do coloring tutorials. Like Chris Chain, I believe she has the coloring tutorials on her Patreon. If I am wrong, you guys will have to let me know, but I believe people have said that she has those, and there's a lot out there. Color with Claire gives little tutorials on her channel. I mean, like I said, there's so many, and there's also prompts, and I should have put hashtags as well. There are several prompts and hashtags out there in the coloring community. The Passionista Colorista, I think is her name, on Instagram. She posts all of, well, I'm sure it's not all, but as many as she can find hashtags every single month. And you can check out her Instagram, and she shows you several different hashtags and prompts that you can do for the month. And she also does year-long ones. She posts those ones as well. Now, say you're not feeling like you want to follow anybody's particular hashtag or prompt. Maybe you want to just do your own thing, and that's fine. Maybe since we are in seasons, maybe you want to create your own prompt list to go with the season. Or maybe it's your birthday and you want to color things that pertain to birthdays. Or maybe you're just feeling a certain mood, like maybe you're feeling in the cozy mood and you think of different things that are cozy and you color everything you can find that has to do with cozy or has to do with the beach, or I mean, the sky's the limit. You can use the prompts that people put out if you want, or if you don't want to like do all that and worry about hashtags and all that stuff because it's just too much, you can do your own. And it's really up to you. I have done both. I have several hashtags and prompts and stuff that I do monthly, but I do my own thing every month as well. And if I get them done, I get them done. I guess you can, in this category, you can also throw in buddy colors. Sometimes having a buddy color with a fellow colorist can push you out of a coloring slump because you feel the need to finish a page because your buddy is working on it as well. And you can talk to your buddy during the process, and maybe you're confused at something you see in the picture. Is that a flower? Is that a scarf? What is that? And maybe she doesn't know either, and you can talk about it. Or maybe you're not liking the paper, and you can say, what are you using? And it's just a process of talking to a friend and helping you enjoy the coloring time together. So with tutorials and prompts and hashtags and buddy colors, that is a way that you can get out of a coloring slump. Now, you have to be careful with this one because this can also create a coloring slump because you can put yourself in a state of overwhelm, and because you can put yourself in the position where you feel like you have to finish that tutorial or you have to finish that buddy color because you feel obligated, or maybe you feel pressure, or you feel like you have to do those hashtags or have to do those prompts because you wrote them down, almost like you have a finishing mindset, like there's no way you cannot do it. And so you have to be careful with that one because it can lead you into a coloring slump, which just makes coloring no fun. So when you use that one, I highly advise you do it sparingly and maybe do one or maybe do two. Don't do 500, because there's no way you can get everything done every time. And it is okay to not complete everything every single time. This is a hobby, and this is to relax. This is to help you feel better and feel good inside. So basically with this one, I would just say do it within reason. You know your boundaries. And say you did too many last month, well, maybe take a break from that the next month and just maybe go back to basics this month. All right, the next one I want to talk about is play with color. So this is kind of similar to the experiment one, but a little different. With this one, you can play with color on a coloring page, yes. What I would suggest, this is just an idea that I actually thought of while I was thinking about all this stuff, is when picking colors and stuff, maybe create color combos or create different things you'd want to put together, because a lot of times we get into these coloring funks because we tend to stay in our comfort zone, our comfort color palette. For me, that is the primary color palette. The red, yellow, and blue, or the rainbow color palette, the bright, punchy, in-your-face colors. What I would suggest is after a while that starts to get wearing on my brain. So I'm thinking this is what I need to do, because right now I'm kind of in a little bit of a slump. I am thinking playing with colors would probably be a very good thing for me. Yes, there are ways you can look at color palettes, but sometimes what's in a color palette, you don't have those colors. So pick pencils, markers, whatever you are using, and you can, I would highly suggest, this is just an idea. So this may work for you, this may not work for you at all. Create a binder, a portfolio, and put maybe 5 circles, 7 circles across, and pick colors that maybe aren't the colors you normally would pick and put them together. Create your own palettes, so to speak, and create several different ones. And some may be very bad. Some may be totally awesome. By doing this creates color rejuvenation in your brain. If you guys have seen that movie, Ratatouille, where Remy, the little rat, he says, okay, put these grapes in your mouth and then put these cheese in your mouth. Do you feel the vibrations? Do you see the different things in your mind? By pulling this color and pulling that color and putting this together, you can start to feel different vibes and different ways of experimenting. Shade with different colors. Don't just shade with the darker shade or shade with grays. Shade, say you colored something blue. Well, try shading with green. Try shading with anything. I mean, pink, purple. See what happens. Experiment different things and different techniques. Say you saw a leaf that tutorial that you thought was great, but you're not feeling green. Well, try it in a different color palette. Maybe do green and pink and purple and see what happens. That's the beauty about coloring. You can pull whatever you want and see what happens. There's no wrong way to color. And it's so fun to see everybody's choices and variety. It's just like a new spark in life and in coloring in your life. And I think that can really help pull someone out of a coloring slump. And by doing that in a binder, you can go back when you're in that slump again and go, hey, I really liked these colors. You know what? I haven't done this palette in a long time. I want to try this again. You know, it's a fun way to explore color. Okay, the last one I want to talk about is evaluate. This is basically something that we all should do from time to time, whether we're in coloring slumps or not, but definitely during a coloring slump. Ask yourself why you color. That's just the basic question. Why do I color? Why do I like these colors? What do I enjoy about this hobby? You know, things like that. By evaluating why you do what you do, helps you take away all the pile up of everything that's going on and brings you back down to ground zero and helps you know that, hey, I do this because I enjoy this. It helps me relax. This is fun. I like to do this because I need to keep my hands busy. I'm a multitasker. I like color. I mean, whatever your explanation is. Sometimes by just evaluating and bringing you back to ground zero can pull you out of the slump. And I really think that when you think about these things and you go back to basically the originator of why you color, it helps you avoid major slumps, because a lot of times we get so caught up with trying to do this, that, or the other with life, with coloring, with crafts, with anything. I really think that this is something that could definitely help all of us in our coloring journey. Just go back to, why do I color? And everyone's answer could be different. And if you look back, For like our fellow color tubers out there, if you look back to the very first video you ever created, listen to yourself. Your passion, your drive, you can hear it in your voice. There's a way to get that and feel that excitement and joy in coloring again by returning back to why do I color? Now, that's all that's the top 10. There's several other things out there that you can do to bring you out of a coloring slump, but I just picked 10, and I am going to go through some of the comments that I'll try to go through all of them with you guys, that I got from YouTube and Instagram and my Facebook page, of fellow colorists like yourself that are giving you and me ideas when you're in a coloring slump. And I hope that it helps us. Right now, I know I'm almost done with coloring what I colored in this video. I think I just finished up this flower and then that will be it. So what I will do is I will attach probably a screen recording of the different comments, and we can kind of talk about them that I got today from those posts that I posted earlier. Guys, so here we're on my community tab here on YouTube, and this was the question I asked: how do you get yourself out of a coloring slump? And I have some comments here, and we'll kind of just go over that. From Jess956, she says that she was in a coloring slump for almost a year. Sometimes you just need a break or you'll hate it. I got back into reading for a while. Reading is such a wonderful thing. When I started again, I started small with simple designs, and now I'm back at it. And she says, hope it helps, or hope this helps. So she was in that slump for a long time, and she started with simple designs, and that's great. And then she made a point that she was reading, and reading is another wonderful creative thing to do. The next one here, I have Jennifer Bickerstaff, color 8974. She says, I usually take a break, maybe watch some videos or go on IG, which is Instagram, until I feel inspired. But sometimes I just take a few days and do something else. If I force it, it's not fun. So, sounds like Jennifer takes inspiration from YouTube videos and Instagram posts, which is a wonderful thing to do. And then she also takes a break, which is great as well. Jackie Conrad 859 says, let's see if we can open that up. She says, I just take a break, then organize my books and look through them. Sometimes I look on Pinterest for inspiration, catch up on hauls, videos, finished pages, videos. I don't force myself when it becomes a job, or it feels like a job. It just takes the fun out of it. I like to diamond paint, so I do that. Looks like she also does jigsaw puzzles, and I think everyone gets into a slump. It's normal. She says she's in one right now. I think she put on some pretty good points here. Here she is saying that she gets inspiration from videos and finished pages in Pinterest. And she does not force herself to color, which is a very good point. Appreciate that, Jackie. And jigsaw puzzles. That sounds really fun and creative. Next one is Megan Osborne 6664, and she switches different hobbies, which is great. And sometimes she does color by number. That's what CBN means, because the thinking of choosing colors is removed. Sometimes I look through my hoard and find a book I forgot I had. That's a great point. A lot of us have pretty large collections and forget we have something, a diamond in the rough, in our stash. And there's a reply on here. Oh, from another colorist. She says that she does color by numbers for the same reason.
Mommy, it's me.
Honey, she's fine, okay?
Her isn't.
I'll talk to you about it in a minute. Sorry, my son's talking to me too. Next one I have is Colorful Colorist. She says she works on other interests until she has the urge to color again. If you make yourself do it, it's no longer fun. And Jackie said something similar in the earlier comment, and it's great to dab into those other interests, because they're still creative interests and hobbies, and it can definitely pull you into coloring again after that. The Cassie B 4255, she says, allow myself to take a break and enjoy other things. Coloring will always be there when I come back. This is very true. By taking a break and remembering that coloring will always be there. Yes, coloring will always be there. Even if you take a 5-year break, you can always come back to coloring. It's not going to leave. I mean, there may be new coloring books and new supplies out there, but coloring will still exist. So I agree with you, Cassie. Color by Brandy 7589. She says, I let myself not do anything for 2 days. Then I start with color by numbers, then patterns, mandalas. I also watch completed pages videos and tutorials. So it looks like when she takes a break, she gives her a time limit, like a 2-day break, which is very smart. I think I can relate to Brandy, because I don't like to take a large break from coloring, as I talked earlier in my video. And it sounds like she starts with simpler back to basic pages, which is smart. And Jackie Howard 7300, she says kids coloring. And like I said earlier in my video, that's like back to basics coloring, which is very enjoyable and fun, reminds you of being a kid. So that's all the comments I have on my YouTube right now. And I'm going to switch screens, and we're going to talk about the ones on my Facebook, and then we'll go to Instagram last, because Instagram has the most. Alright guys, so here we're on my Instagram, and as you can see, I have more comments here. I'm going to do my best to access all of them. I'm changing this top comments to newest first. Looks like we got a new one here. So I'm just going to start from the top. Tamila K. I'm just going to shorten that, her name here. It says Coloring Color by Number books. Lisa Coloring. I take a break from it. Always returns when you don't overthink it. That's a great point. Don't overthink coloring, because then it becomes more of a chore, and then it's not fun anymore. Penny, she says, I either end up starting at any page I like the look of, which is why I use Color Tracker to keep track of my pencils, color combos I'm using. The other thing I do a step away from coloring for a little while and usually end up reading in the meantime. So she has a hobby of coloring and reading, it looks like. And that is a great idea, Penny, to track your colors that you have been using on a page when you created that whip that you're talking about. And you can do that in a coloring journal. You can do that just on a scrap piece of paper or whatever you would like. And just for a tip for future colorists. Mindful Griff. I like to do very simple color by number pages until I get my groove back. That's me, so I'm going to skip me. Bee's Coloring Hive. She says that she swatches her supplies. It gets her excited to use them, and then she wants to color with them. Very good point, Bee. Bo Beanie. She says, I agree with the others. I don't push myself. Keep it simple. Use favorite supplies. So she doesn't, that's a very good point right there. She uses her favorite supplies instead of using new medias. She uses what's comfortable to her. And if she's going to color, it won't be a favorite page, so it's not precious at all, she says. If you're going through that now, I hope you rest up, bounce back, even more excited about your hobby. So thanks, Bo Beanie. Our lovely Liz at home, she commented and said, I listen to an audiobook and do color by number where I don't have to think. Happy Color Smiles, she says, I pick a picture I'm not fond of and do whatever I want to it without thinking of logical color schemes or mediums. I just enjoy the process. Then when it's done, I'm back to wanting to be a methodical on a new page. So basically, she's doing that experimenting like I was talking about and not caring on the outcome. And she's using pages that aren't precious to her. Oh, this one I have to translate. So, okay. It says, Talita, she says, do something else. A break is coming in handy. The desire will come back again, at least in my case. So she is saying that breaks come in handy and it's good to take a break. Looks like Marie is in a coloring slump as well, so she appreciates the ideas here. Coloring Bumblebee, she says, I love flicking through my books, watching other people's completed pages on YouTube for inspiration. I also find color by numbers is great for scratching my coloring itch when I don't have the energy to think of colors, which is awesome. Thank you, Coloring Bumblebee. Sherry Crafts. If I want to color, but I don't know what or where to start, I do some color by number pages. If I'm not feeling like coloring, I do something else. Diamond painting or crochet are my two most common choices. That's wonderful, Sherry. Thank you for sharing that with us. Kelly, she says, I also find just going through my supplies, reorganizing, cleaning, going through my books, and finding ones I haven't colored in a while also help me for some reason. I get excited about supplies all over again. Looks like we have some more replies here. Happy Color Smiles. She says that works for her too. I will reorganize my supplies or sometimes re-swatch the colors. And Kelly responded, it's just relaxing and takes the stress away. That's wonderful, Kelly. And thank you for responding to her. Happy. That is very nice. Kelly also writes, I pick a simple page, choose 3 to 5 colors, and just color a little bit. I think she's saying 3 times maybe a little bit each. I think she's saying a little bit each time until I find myself getting excited to see the finished page. Rashmi says, I don't push. I wait until I feel like coloring and restart with simple pages like large print or color by numbers. Rosaline says, follow a tutorial. It always helps me. Scrumbly Nana says, I pick out a small page and my favorite pencils and just start putting color to paper. Usually works and gets my creative juices flowing again. So she just does it. She just sits there and does it. That's great. I want to thank everyone that has commented. I wanted to thank everyone that commented on my posts. I chose not to share the ones on my Facebook just for the protection of the people on Facebook because it discloses last names. So I still want to thank them for their comments though. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like my content.